Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Shit pebbles. One time I had to go shit. I asked like 9 times. I was letting out little pebbles of shit in separated intervals. When class was over I stood up. And the shit pebbles began falling out of the legs of my pants. Through the leg holes in my underwear. I left a trail of shit pebbles all over the floor leading from my seating section all the way out the hallway and halfway down the science hall. They had to quarantine the classroom for the rest of the day. End of story. Next story. My best friend nearly gave me a heart attack and possibly made me gay a few days ago. My best friend came over to hang out. Evidently he came too early, so I was still asleep. I normally sleep completely butt naked, so you can probably guess why he almost gave me a heart attack. He somehow, without me hearing, sees me sleeping, quietly strips down naked too, gets in the bed with me, pulls up the sheets over himself, and lays there next to me for who knows how long. Eventually, around the time I start waking up, I hear faint breathing and rustling behind me. In my head, half asleep, I'm like, what the heck is that? So I turn around and see my friend completely naked in bed with me. One eye closed and the other half opened. I stare in shock, and once it kicked in I jumped off the bed and hit my head on my shoes while my friend is laughing his ass off. Still in shock, I silently stare at him while I'm sitting on the floor. He fake stretches and fake yawns and says something like, "Mornin', babe tilde," in a jokingly seductive way, and, "After breakfast let's shower together." I snap out of it. And I yell at him for nearly giving me a heart attack. I wasn't necessarily shocked that he was acting hella GAE and laid naked with me for who knows how long. I was more shocked that I wasn't expecting someone right up in my face. Then we kinda laugh together for a bit until I sit next to him to cover myself up with the sheets. I put my arm around his shoulder and with my other hand I throw his pile of clothes at his crotch and tell him to get dressed. We hung out like he wanted to for the rest of the day, and we didn't really talk about it. That was the gayest I have ever felt. Part of me wishes I played along with him and seduced him back and even got on top of him while we're both nude to give him a taste of his own medicine. Now obviously this was all in good fun, but if I'm being honest, this made me rethink my sexuality. I've been thinking about what it would be like if I dated him, but nah. I told my female friend about it and she thinks he likes me and probably tried sending me in. Obvious sign. She's into yaoi and stuff like that, so she ships us. I don't think I'm ready to be bi. Besides, I don't even know if this is just one of his jokes or if he's actually attracted to me. My female friend asked me if I saw him as attractive, and thinking about it now, this was one of the few times I've seen him shirtless and the first time we've seen each other naked. Looking at his body, he's honestly kinda cute. Because we're degenerate losers, we still live with our parents, but my female friend says that my best friend and I should consider buying a house together and to see if we get romantic or not. She also said she wanted to live with us, but that's irrelevant to the story. If my friend meant the whole thing as a joke, then I hate the fact that I'm slowly considering going bi for him. I never imagined I'd be the type of guy to be attracted to other guys. If he wasn't joking, then should I date him? He's been my best friend for most of my life since childhood. He's practically my brother. I'm considering it, and my female friend says we'd make a good couple, but IDK. End of story. Next story. A couple was fighting down the street and it was literal comedy gold. I was staying at my dad's for the night, and around 3 a.m. I heard shouting down the street. This couple was literally yelling at each other. So since I'm nosy, I opened the window to hear what they were saying and looked at them. And I noticed that there was a third guy with them who was trying to keep them quiet. This guy was apparently the guy's best friend and told him he had a thing with his girlfriend. So this couple was literally at each other's throats, with him telling her she was a bitch and her telling him it was his fault she cheated cause he obviously didn't care about her anymore. So they kept yelling for like 20 minutes, and the old lady that lives in front of my dad woke up and opened the window too to hear what was happening. And at some point this girl yelled, "Why do you even care if I fucked him? You don't love me anymore. You probably never did." And as I was about to start laughing, he yelled, "Because I'm in love with him and have been having a thing with him since September." The old lady and I literally looked at each other and gasped together. While the guy who was there yelled, "Stop yelling, it's 3 a.m. They kept fighting though, but at some point the two guys took the car of one of them and left her crying down the street. Skull. End of story. Next story. What is your, if I did that, I would have died, stories? I was a heavy smoker since near end of 2015, and after a grueling almost 7 years of heavy smoking, I decided to quit smoking and switched to vaping so the quitting part would be easier. When I was still smoking, however, whenever I was waiting for something to cook, I would always sneak a smoke or two by the balcony, which was a couple of feet away from the kitchen. Anyway, I moved 6 hours away from my hometown majority of the year and went home every after my school semester ended. Before I last left my house, every time I used my stove, it would always smell like gas unless I closed the gas tank, but I didn't mind it at first since I wasn't home and just locked the gas tank before I left the house. I lived alone at my hometown house. Fast forward to October this year. My uncle got COVID and my aunt asked if he could quarantine at my house for 2 weeks. When I got home for Christmas, I found my stove pushed further to the back of my countertop. That time, I ran out of vape juice and decided to smoke a pack of cigarettes since all the vape shops were closed for the holidays and only got to refill my vape 2 days later. That day, I was about to cook when the gas smell wafted through the entire kitchen, and this time it was stronger than before. When I checked the back of my stove, I saw that the gas hose wasn't connected to the stove anymore. I immediately got out of there and went to buy a new gas hose and thanked that I stopped smoking already, because if I still did, I would have exploded along with my house. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.